Okay, so this is going to be something completely different from everything that we heard. This is actually going to be another example application that I put together. I work for the EPA from the toxicology department. This is a big, long title. This was actually the title of the paper that came out of this. But bottom line, what we're doing is we are measuring the heart rate of embryonic zebrafish. So to show you what that looks like, this is an embryonic zebrafish, and this is a 10-second, hopefully you can see that, it's a 10-second loop. I'm just looking through the 10 seconds worth of images, and you can sort of see where the eyes are. It has a large egg sac, and that little sort of gray blob in between, that's the heart. And so what we're going to try and do is actually do vision analysis to try and find that. This is a system where they had a procedure already in place, and I was brought in to do the, basically to make it go faster. So the procedure that they had in place was that they would prep the fish in different environments, so that they would basically be different types of water or maybe some different toxins and whatnot. This part was automated. They had a microscope stage. They'd move the well into place. They'd expose it to 10 seconds of light to acclimatize it, and then capture 10 seconds worth of data in this ND2 file. Then they process the images. The results of that would then go and run FFTs. And what I'm going to talk about is how we automated that, the bold section right in there. The challenges that they had was that this ND2 file format is basically, it's a stack of images. It runs about 2 gigs. And the package that they were using was ImageJ. They could look at these files, but they had to bring the entire file into memory, which took a huge amount of time. So what I did was I had to build a file parser for that, which of course didn't exist. So I had to run around the internet and eventually found the DLLs I needed to do that. What that allowed me to do was go in and pick out a single frame at a time. That gave me a lot more speed and flexibility, not having to load the entire file. The second problem that they had was that the package they were using was ImageJ with a manual package where they had to go in and select the region of interest by hand. So a technician had to sit there and go in there, and then they could only process really one image, or not one section, one region of interest, and one fish at a time. So what I did was I had to basically go in there and figure out how to find the fish. So if you guys have never used the Vision Assistant, it's awesome. It allows you to bring in images, play around with all the different functions that they have until you find the right set of steps you need to do to find the fish. So now I've got all the fish. The biggest problem next is going to be how to find the heart. And I thought about trying to do some sort of pattern matching, but you can sort of see that these things are, they have all sorts of different orientations, top and bottom. But the bigger issue is that they can also roll. So I may be looking at it front on or to the left or the right or whatever. So we had to sort of come up with a geometric way of sort of trying to find species of interest. And that's where the high school geometry comes into play. So what I ended up doing was sort of looking at the morphology of this fish and realized that the egg sac is this big circle. And there's a circle function. So I can basically find the largest circle inside my fish. I can then use, I think it's array diameter, to sort of find the long axis of this fish. I can then figure out which end is closest to the center of this egg sac, which is usually the head. Draw the line between the egg sac and the head, and then if I look at the point where it crosses the circle, that is the egg sac, that's about where the heart is. So then you can basically create a region of interest in there, process all your images, and then come up with basically an average intensity over time. And this is the type of graph that you're going to get. And you can sort of see that in the top image, these were the 3 fish, and then that was the result of the data that we got. The black line there was a fish that actually moved a little bit. They did have some stuff in the analysis, so even if the fish moved a little bit, they still could process the heart rate. And so they ended up running a paper on this and looking at the comparative results of doing it automated or manual, and the data basically came out about the same. There were probably some iffy fish in the middle there, which accounts for the scatter. I think that's it. Oh, no. So, yeah, so final application that I put together for them. So it increased the speed tenfold easily. Because what I could do is I could basically allow them to bring in a single image, try to calculate the region of interest, and if it was no good, they didn't have to process the entire file. I ended up letting them have access to some of the different parameters to change the size of the region of interest, to change threshold levels based on the images that they had coming in. And then allow them to also create like a process all, or all the fish in the, or all the images in a file, a folder, or a single one at a time. And future work. Okay, so one of the things too, though, when you did this the first time, Rev 1.0, the system caught about 70 to 80%, 77 to 80% of the fish that they called measurable or imageable fish. And I think that was mostly because of fish that were overlapping. The system didn't work well for that. I'd like to be able to change that region of interest, the shape, instead of necessarily being a rectangle, maybe make it more of a toroid. And then they were also interested in heart arrhythmia. So be able to maybe look at the subset of that image, or of the region of interest to look at heart arrhythmia. And this was the paper that came out of that. So anyway, any questions? That's it.